Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings be upon you and your family. I think sometimes because
I am wearing an outfit from
the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so I'm happy to be on the show with you.
I thank you so much.
A woman shall rise as high as her God-given gift. Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of At My Sister's House. We are here, season 3. I am so honored you joined us. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. And we are now going to get started. We are so honored to have this evening 2 distinguished guests, and I know what you're thinking. We have a brother and a sister on. So I am honored to have my brother, my sister Khalidah, and brother Jahleel joining us on tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us.
To be here.
Thank you. I want to start by saying this is an honor. As I have stated to you all before, we had an outcry. We had several people reach out and ask about young people and being married and striving in a world like this to raise a family while striving to live a righteous life. So tonight we're going to address and look at it from that perspective. First of all, I want to say, Sister Khalidah, we're here at Mosque Number 1. However, you're from another city and moved here. So let's start first with the origin and then we'll build from there. So, where you from and what's your family roots?
Okay. I am from Oakland, California.
Okay.
So that's mosque number 26, born and raised in the Nation of Islam. My mother's name is Sister Michelle Muhammad. And my father's name is Salim Shaeed. Yeah, that's...
And you were born and raised there in Oakland.
Born and raised in Oakland.
She's 3 generations in of believers in the Nation of Islam. So
Alhamdulillah. So this goes beyond...
Yes. Yeah, I'm 3rd generation.
She's 3rd generation.
So your mother and then her family?
My father's mother.
Wow. So what year are we talking now?
Now, I do not know all the details and the specs.
But we're going all the way back to your grandparents. Mm-hmm. Alhamdulillah, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So now you're the 3rd generation raising the 4th generation. Alhamdulillah.
So my father was the first in our family to go to Mount University of Islam.
That's
in San Francisco
excellent.
Prior to 75.
Alhamdulillah, I didn't know that. That's an excellent
history. Skip right over that.
Yeah, that's a major aspect. That's a blessing. Yes. Praise be to Allah. Now, Brother Jahleel, your family. Now, when I first came, this is my first introduction to Islam is through your father and your mother. Tell us about your history here joining and being raised in the nation.
So my parents, they came into the nation July 81. Wow. The minister came to speak at Lincoln University. They had already been exposed to Minister Farrakhan from my father's music teacher and mentor, Clifford Sykes.
Wow.
And he said when he was, he would always put the minister on when he would be around the car. And he'd be like, why you keep playing this? And it's like, he ended up driving them up to school in Jefferson City, Missouri. And he said the whole trip, all he played was Minister Farrakhan.
The minister.
And he said, can you... He said, my dad said, can you play some jazz? And he said, I play this jazz Farrakhan. He said, so they had to listen to that all the way up. And then they heard the minister after. He said they had already started making some lifestyle changes with their diet and things like that prior to. But they came in, that was 81. And then my older 2 siblings, they were born in Jefferson City before my parents moved back to Detroit. And then I was 1987.
Alhamdulillah. And that's from Brother Dawood and Sister Lenora.
Yes, yes.
He was, when I came out the very first time, he was the minister speaking. Brother Rasul was in Florida visiting or on a tour or something. And Brother David X at the time was teaching. And his knowledge, it was just, it floored me. And I didn't know what to do other than accept. And when we registered, he and Sister Lenore took all of those of us to Canada for dinner. To have
Royal Bengal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To have
that was
Indian
the place.
food.
That was the place.
And that was my first time, my first exposure. And I thank Allah. As I said, your sister Akila, was on. For those of you who've seen that episode or have not, that's season 2, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And we spoke with Sister Akila, and it was an excellent, excellent interview. So now, you both were raised in the nation. Both attended MUI?
Yep.
Yes.
So I went to MUI up till, at that time they had cut the grades down, and it was only up to like 5th. And so we went, from there I went to, my parents were still trying to keep us in some kind of structure, so I went to Malcolm X Academy.
Yes.
With under Dr. Clifford Watson. May Allah be pleased with him. Who really was striving to uphold that motto of African Center. His desire was to have an all-boys school, but DPS did not allow him to do that. And they went through a lot of craziness prior to me coming, which it's like all in the news about what he had to do just to fight to get the school open.
Yes, sir.
But so we went there. I went there right after MUI. And then from there, Crockett Technical High School, but we were both MUI. So I didn't graduate from MUI, but I owe MUI for my beginnings, and a lot of what I experienced through going there and through high school was based on just my experience and the level of what we got at MUI.
Yeah, foundation. Now, so we go through the MUI stage, and now you're both from 2 separate regions, both raised in the nation. And then you meet each other. How did that occur?
Actually, I'll let him tell his
You tell your part.
side of the story. But still that MUI connection, because from my understanding, the first time that he saw me was actually on an MUI webathon.
Correct.
Oh.
So I went to MUI, K through 12, graduated, and went back to MUI as an instructor.
Alhamdulillah.
And I'm still an instructor at MUI currently. So I've been there. It's been a part of my life.
Alhamdulillah. That is so, the blessing to me just hearing it. I grew up in a regular Christian, kind of family setting. And then you look back, and I had the opportunity of putting my children in MUI. And you have those moments of, gosh, I wish that could have been me. I wish I could have had that foundation. So just to know this was your introduction to just starting of life, coming in with the basis of truth. Mm-hmm. You coming in with your foundation of being in truth. And now, by Allah's permission, you're married. Now, how long you been married?
12 years in September.
Wow. And now you're putting that next generation and raising them. So let's get to this part where I know some of the ones I spoke to about them coming into the nation, being young, and now getting married. We're seeing a rise, in my opinion, of young believers getting married and setting that foundation. What's one of the strongest aspects to the foundation of marriage as a young couple that you would say is that winning force, that piece that really helps to push that foundation in this kind of world?
I mean, belief in Allah is number one.
Right.
Came in the person of Master Fatimah Muhammad. I think that's a critical aspect. Those really the foundational action principles of Islam, the 5, what we call the 5 pillars. Mm-hmm. Those are critical in the foundation, and having the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what he laid for us as the foundation and the minister being our guide. A big part of what we did a lot of during courtship was reading those marriage articles and then going back to them periodically throughout these last 12 years. But always being able to reference back to the teachings.
Right.
I think what happens a lot of times is we miss, and we leave that part out when we start having problems, our issues, and going through the seasons. We leave out what we got together in the first place from and for. And so I think those are the critical aspects of foundational belief in Allah, prayer, charity, fasting during Ramadan, and eventually being able to make that wonderful trip to Hajj when Allah is done with what he has to do over there.
Yes.
But I think that, for me, that's what I would say is that's a very good start point for foundational.
And I would just say, my mindset going into marriage, you really get out of it what you put in, but that's a big thing going in, is what do you expect marriage to be? Because if you think that it's going to be wedding day and then we just walk into bliss and it's fairy tale for the rest of our lives, then you'll be sadly disappointed when you go home and that's not that. But if you go in with the approach and the understanding that marriage is work and love is duty, and I mean, I think that's really been key for me, is having the minister really give the definition of what marriage looks like as half of our faith.
And I think that marriage video, in which the minister talks about the roles, and he talks about it, even in that lecture, tying into what you said, what is your motive? And a lot of times the foundation of what we standing on is looking at what was the motive that brought you in. And when you talk about the 5 pillars and never forgetting, that is our foundation. That draws you back. That's an excellent point. Now, you brought up something, Brother Jahleel, the courtship process. There's no one that hears of our courtship process and doesn't see the beauty in the courtship. How was that courtship process, how important and how valuable to the beginning and where you stand 12 years later?
It's so important because whatever we was doing in courtship, it's just repeated. At that time, really, her father was not as much in her life at that time. So her mother was the primary. And so I was like, well, I'm going to reach out to your mom then. And I had wrote her a letter. Actually, the first time that we talked, I didn't come correct, and I didn't have my stuff together. And I was like, I'm not ready, because I know it was gonna be more serious with her, and so I'm like, I'm just not ready. And so I'll call you when we're ready. She stopped talking to me. We had stopped talking at that time, because I just didn't have it together. And so I reached out to her mom, and I had to go out that way for her. It was a conference happening out there. This, by the will of Allah, it was kind of set up where it was actually the conference I was going to in Oakland. I was working in nonprofit at the time, and I was working with youth. So I went to a conference that I was like mentoring youth, but I had time that was my own time. And so I met with her family, and I think we had dinner when I came out there. That was the first time I had met her father. And he just kind of looked at me and just kind of took me in, just looking at me. But it was more so me trying to convince and get the approval of her mom. Because she was very strict in how he even come, and we said I had to come correct. And so I had to win her over time, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen immediate, and you know, every time that a baby was born, and I would say, "This is what I'm gonna do," and she would come and see, "Oh, this is we are. Oh, this okay. This is we are living right now, okay." And then it was just progressed until now. I think she sees better that, you know, my word. I made my word bond, and I'm still continuing to strive to make my word bond. And so, I think that was the that was the bigger. She was just surprised at how quickly her family like kind of drew to me.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, I don't know how. I don't know why they like you so much, but I think that's the critical part. But I think the things that we were striving to do and implement in the conversations that we had, then being able to revisit. Like we always revisit the conversations that we were having during courtship. Like, did we talk about this? Yeah, I think we did talk about this. And we always revisit because those, I think, are a big part of it. And so now when I talk to brothers, I'm like, don't just fluff through the courtship process because all of the stuff that you said that you was gonna do, and she didn't forget. Like you thought she forgot that you said you was gonna do this. They're gonna remember. And so this part has to be. And she's still waiting on her cow.
You requested a cow.
That's dog. Cow is dog. And we gonna get us a cow. Elijah, we just ain't there yet, but we gonna get it. We gonna get that cow.
Yellow heifer. Intensely yellow. For you, Sister Khalidah, because a lot of times in the courtship process, it is a protection to the woman. It allows us to keep our honor intact. It allows us to see things without the Cinderella Walt Disney version. We get to really see. So how was the process for you going into the courtship and preparing you for marriage now?
I would say definitely very, very important. And I think a lot that we, were intentional in our courtship process. We're striving to ask those questions and ask them again and make each other angry. And really, I was intentional about, no, you want to see the real me during courtship because it's only going to get real. When you move in and now you have to be with each other all the time. So you may as well
see all the aspects.
Like I can even remember a time because we were long distance. We would be at that time on Skype,
right?
And I remember my sisters asking me, like, "You about to get on the phone with your hair looking like that?" I was like, "Well, this is who I am, is it not?" So just that aspect for me was important with setting realistic expectations. I remember having, some of the older sisters, like, certain norms and traditions that are not necessarily requirements, but they're like, you need to do this or you need to do that. But I don't plan on doing that every day. So maybe I shouldn't do that because it's not. I won't be doing that. I won't be doing that every day. So just things like that. I was something else that I wanted to say about the courtship thing. It was important too, but maybe it'll come back.
Okay, and if it do, we'll add it right back in.
So that I think this
before we had our cow laugh.
But I think even the just those conversations it's always important, and the setting the real expectations. I was very intentional about intentionally making her upset to see how she responded to just being upset. I mean, I'm not going to do that, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, well, my weight," you know, and then just also having conversations with brothers who were older than me at that time. Like, brother, you need to do this, man. You need to have X amount to be saved up, and I'm like, well, y'all got that, and y'all still single. Like, and so I'm like, that's not really helpful information for me to have. Though, a nest egg, a $10,000 would have been nice. I mean, we've seen that, and that amount of money just came and went.
Exactly.
So it's it's the what has kept us this long, because we've seen the short run, the 6 weeks, the 6 months, 6 days. We've seen those short runs of marriages. What has kept us, our desire, we've made a pact like that we were going to continue to fight. Like, for what? If we're not doing it for that reason, for what? What are we doing it for? Then we might as well stop it here, because, like, no, we've made it. This is the reason why, and as long as those reasons do not change, and we get and not go off into some crazy foolishness and hypocrisy, then we can continue to fight if we still can agree on Master Father Muhammad, Most Honorable Muhammad, the Honorable Minister of Farrakhan, the foundation. Then it's still things that we can navigate through some of the fickle things that affect most people. Yeah, that affect most people. That would be a tap out.
Yeah. For
most people, this is something that we said no. I'm reminded that this is what we said. One of the big moments for me is, and we happened to both be there at that time. The minister did a leadership conference in Philadelphia, and he stood Mother Khalidah up, and he was making her over. Mm-hmm. But one of the major things that he told us, you all have to be able to sacrifice the younger years of your life in the cause of the work of your nation. And I can say for a fact that we have done that. Yes. And so when we got the opportunity to get our house, I'm like, that's all Allah. Right. Because we was working, and like I was just reminded of just being like at the mosque all the time. Just like when I was little growing up in the mosque. Just right. Constantly, I was going around the country with the implements of Fire as he went and visited all the colleges. Yeah. And being able to move in that way and understanding that there was a sacrifice happening at home. But the reason why was I doing it? And so being able to see the benefit and reap the reward of our children is a big part. And just seeing how they have grown and developed through all of it. I think that's one of the big highlights, but it all goes back to that foundational aspect of the courtship process, which is important.
And they're 3 beautiful children. They are beautiful. Your daughter, just her mannerism, her ways, just a little soldier. You see the little soldier in her. Now, again, you talked about the intentional and being purposeful in what you were doing in the courtship, and that helping to lay the foundation of where you are today. Now, both of you are active members in the nation, both active MUI, work in our nation. What is the biggest component to making sure that the family dynamic stays tight in your Islam? Because you're working and you're in the mosque and and we can have busy lives, separate and then even combined. So what's the aspect? What's the component in the midst of all of that busyness that keeps 12 years still going?
I mean, we strive to put things in the order that the minister gave us, as far as how we interact. So Allah. Yes. Self. Right. Then each other. Right. Then our children and that family dynamic. Extended family. Mosque nation. Mm-hmm. And we have not always done it in the right order. So sometimes you got to come back and be like, wait a minute. Right. You've been doing right. You've been doing mosque nation. Or you've been doing work. Right. But having that as the standard, and we can always come back and remind we've been a little imbalanced over here, so we need to pull it back together. But the other thing is we do it together. Right. So whatever we're involved in, we do it as a team. And we bring the children right along with us, and they participate in whatever it is that we're participating in, for the most part. Right. Yeah. So that's been a major key in keeping us as close as we are. We do it together, and we strive, like you said earlier, to enjoy and make it a fun journey. Yeah.
Now, we are in a world where young people, you hearing, you can have as many girls can change up and get different guys. The reality TV shows will have you thinking, you with a Monday, you can have somebody else different on Tuesday and Thursday, someone else is new. With the values or lack of values in the world, and then yet we teach marriage in the nation, and then your young people doing it. How do you tell other young people how to make this a part of their lives? Despite what you're seeing out there, how do you say to other young people, this is the right way to go? Especially when the minister say, this is a journey. Yeah. So we're not getting married and think, like you said, we got it. It's all solved. No problem. Life is good. This is a journey. But despite the journey, it's still the best part as opposed to anything this world can offer. What do you say to other young people to be that reminder or inspiration?
So I would say too, back to that first question, I think in not compromising, when it's family time, it's family time.
Right.
Now I will talk to you later. This ain't that for that.
Right.
Oh, what's happening? I got to do something with my family.
Right.
And my family would be like, well, you just said that too. The captain said, the captain got wait. I mean, today it's family day, and I'm not compromising. If I have set time for family time, it's family time.
Right.
Brother, what's happening? Oh, I'm watching a movie with my children.
Right.
I'm like them.
Right.
All respect due.
Right.
But not compromising on that fact. Traveling, a lot of our early trips, me working in the travel industry, our children came right along with us.
Right.
And I would tell my children, like, when I was little, we didn't do a lot of traveling. And so the place that we going, guess what? I just went to, and so it's 4 children out there.
Right.
At the beach running around throwing sand. Because we didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
My father was so wrapped, and we reaped the benefit of him being wrapped up in the mission.
Mm-hmm.
But me and my father had a conversation. He said, I see what you're doing, son. He said, being able to see and move and travel in the way that you didn't get that opportunity to, that's a blessing to be able to do. And so all of the jobs that I've tried to get has been to reap the benefit of not just getting paid, but being able to move around and maneuver with the nation, but also being able to maneuver freely with my family,
Right.
so that they can enjoy. And sometimes we can be overtaxing. Well, we in Florida though.
Right.
Enjoy the beach, enjoy the sun.
Right.
And then on the other side, to the other question is being able to show them the benefits.
Yeah.
I think what happens a lot of times is miserable people give advice to people who haven't even had the experience of what marriage is. And so now, rather than share to them what was good about it, you only share the poor part of, man, don't do it. You'll never have no money again. Then that's what that's like a norm. And so when I see young people, young brothers and sisters that I work with, fight to them like, you ain't married? Like, that's
Right.
even just, I was at a graduation event and a brother was introducing me to his girlfriend. I'm like, she not good enough? So, yeah, we talking, I'm like, what you waiting for? Because now you keeping them on. I said, so be encouraged to understand that this benefits to having that one, that if she's worthy to be that one, then what are you wasting time for? Don't sell her short and keep her on the string because you haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
If that's the case, then let her be.
Yes.
But I think being able to share the benefits of what it is, and I think one of the big ones is just being able to show up together. And so sometimes people are like, I want to be married. How old are y'all? Yeah. Just like that.
Sure,
it could have
looking
been
like
other
teenagers.
So I think that is a big inspiration, and then seeing and hearing all the feedback that we get about our children from other people that's not us, when we be looking at them like, you little rascals, and they like, your children are just so wonderful, beautiful. And we like, oh yeah, really? I think those are the aspects of sharing with them the benefits, because these are the relationships that produce the future ones that you don't have to worry about or be concerned about. That's going to bring in brighter days for their children and so on and so on. But I think that gets left. We often get people who are miserable, who have so much internal strife that they don't want to see happy people be happy and married. I'll never do that. You ball and chain. Even the language around marriage in the world of the enemy for black people is don't do it.
Right.
But they firmly believe in marriage, even if they hate it. Mm-hmm. White marriage is a business for the Caucasian, and so they gladly jump into it, even if they don't like the person, because it's business transaction. But they firmly believe. That's one thing I've learned in marriages and meeting and knowing people in the world. They firmly believe. Black people will tell you, but they might even tell black people, "No, don't do it." But they've been married for 60 years.
Exactly.
So with all of this stuff included, I think that has to be the encouragement, being able to show up present and still like each other is a big part of of that. So when people see us together, they know they still like each other. I remember the minister telling the story. He said the people, when they got married, they would see him and Khalidah walking down the street. They would like, oh, they coordinating. They would just be looking out the window and just smiling at just the reality of seeing them together. That produces an effect in and of itself.
Right.
And I think we're very conscious of when we do things together as a family, it has an effect on people when they're just paying attention, whether we at the mosque or not. I think that's a big part of it. So always bigging up and magnifying the benefits of what the journey of marriage is. I think that's a big part for young people.
Yeah.
Because they're always looking for what can we get? What's it going to do for me? So I think that's a big part of it.
You want to add to?
I was just thinking about as far as the perspective as a young woman going into marriage and being thankful to Allah that I did not have the experiences that, some of even my siblings and family members, close members, people that I know personally, the negative experiences that sometimes come with relationships, so domestic violence, abuse sexually, and just verbal abuse and things like that. I'm thankful to not have those experiences, but I attribute it to my striving to follow the way and the law and the guide that we've been given by Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as a protection. And so him just saying that by nature, every woman is a one-man woman. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that's real. Yeah. And once you give yourself over to somebody, you are giving a part of yourself. That you don't necessarily get back. And if you do get back, it takes time.
Yes, ma'am.
And work. Mm-hmm. To really recover those parts that we lose and get tied up in different situations. And so that's really one of the values that I would really give and strive to, relay to young women. It's like, it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. I don't think.
To be able to guard yourself and have that care that can come in such a manner. The minister said once a woman gives herself and gives that love and get injured, it's like a wall comes up. So by the time the next brother comes, he got to work against the wall before he even can get to the heart, because you put that up as your protection. And I think like what you're saying, that courtship process, it allows us that opportunity to ask the question. And when I can honestly say when I've done it right, it worked perfect. When I did it my way, as you can imagine, didn't work out so smart. So now you have your children. You're raising the fourth generation, the next generation of Muslims. What do you see as the protector or the best guidance right now as a mom, as a dad, with children in a world like this, raising them in Islam? What's been that protection for you in raising the babies?
I think the collective goal and desire to protect them. Mm-hmm. And that's not always the case in a marriage, because when you bring people together who have different backgrounds and upbringings, and you'll have, a spouse who wants to have a certain level of exposure, mm-hmm. or who has certain values in this world where, public school education, they feel like they're missing out on something. Right. But we don't have that struggle. And so striving to protect them and keep them in an environment that we have some measure of control over. Right. Until they're able to grow up mm-hmm. and use their discernment that inshallah they have. Yeah. We can't protect them forever, but that's what right now, that is our goal and desire, is to give them a safe environment and so that they can grow up to be able, to be able to think for themselves and make wise choices. So that
collective dynamic of the two working as a team.
And giving them the truth. One of the things that I experienced is adults trying to lie to try to make things palatable. But my father, he never gave that. I remember when my great grandmother passed, and we were at the viewing of the body, and my uncle was like, "Oh, she just sleep," and we like, why would you? We looking at him like, why would you even say that? Like, we know she did.
Right.
And you're coming over here with a lie to say, no, she not asleep. She did.
Right.
And my father, like, he had to go into my uncle when he said that, like, I don't teach my children about no foolishness like that.
Right.
So they grandmother dead. They knew that when they came here, and they knew they were coming to see a dead body. So why would you even say, trying to make us feel better? And so one of the things that I'm very keen on, next my children ask questions, be ready for the answer, because I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Right. And so they might be like, we don't want to have this conversation and get a little nervous. That's okay. But you're going to know the truth, and you're not going to be able to say that your father did not tell you. And she'll text me sometimes, what should I say? The truth. If they ask a question, tell them the absolute truth. You don't need to water it down for nothing, because they will research.
Right.
And if they have a word that they don't understand, there goes the dictionary.
Right.
If something that you want to know, you got Alexis. He can tell you an answer.
Right.
And you can put it up against what I just told you. But being very open and clear about the world and the way it is, because then they'll be looking at you very differently when they go and experience for real. And they'll be like, why you ain't tell me about? Exactly. And so every experience that my children have had, particularly my oldest son, Tahir, any experience that he got a list of questions. Why did they do this? And why would they? Right. And why did they? And they're always listening. And so that's a big thing that we've tried to strive to do. We're not sugarcoating nothing.
Right.
We've always had conversations with them since from the womb. Mm-hmm. And I never allowed people to do baby talk with them. I'm like, if you're going to be doing that, don't talk to my children. They understand whole, complete sentences. Right. And they can have a full conversation with you since they've been 1 and 2. Exactly. When they learn how to talk, if you start asking them questions, they can have a conversation. So we try to eliminate that early on so it can be very clear on where our stance was. And people had to get cut. Some people had to be cut off because, well, fine. They won't be coming around you no more. Right. And so until you have to get to the point where you understand, but I think that's a big part of being able to strive to raise righteous children. But also that was in my prayer the whole time in the womb. Like, just make them servants for the Messiah, please. Yes. If nothing else. Yes. And so even if we don't see the path that Allah has them on to get to that point, that was my prayer, and Allah answers prayer. So, but also we always tell them, we can give you guidance up to a point, then you have to make a decision. We leave it to you to make decisions. Yeah. You don't give them no fluff, none of that.
It's funny because I saw you Sunday, and I was on the wall post, and you sat down. You had to tap your son and let him know, sit up. And it just that, I remember when Jahleel was that side. And I think Brother Majid said something to you sitting there, and I just could see the proud father who tapped his son to make sure they alert. And I always see him in Juma, and I see him in class, and you have him there with you all in this walk, and it's honorable. So from the eyes on the outside looking in, you are the walk, the representation is absolutely on point, and I pray to Allah that He rewards you both fully. And again, before we wrap up, if you could close out saying something to the young people about marriage, about family, about serving in your nation, what would it be?
Yeah, I'll go close it out. I would say, be honest with yourself and who you are and where you are. And if you're not prepared for the mirror of marriage, if you're not really ready to look at yourself, then don't do it. Because what is going to show you all the things that you may be a little bit uncomfortable with, the woman is going to bring out. The minister said that, she will show you whether or not you really are a man. Right. And so I think, and I was sharing this with some of the brothers recently, I said, we really have to be honest. We have to stop lying to ourselves. Yes, it's not nice to see that sometimes that you are the villain of your own story. Right. But that is the reality of marriage. and be it the will of Allah, all of that will get exacerbated and he'll burn it out of you through the process, because the goal is to be one. And so it's both of you as a mirror for each other to see some things that's in you that you may not like in the other person, and see some things like that. I do that too. Yeah, you do that too. Yeah. So I think that is a part. If you are not prepared to see the mirror of yourself and really be willing and able to fight both spiritually, primarily spiritually, not physically fight your wife, but spiritually fight through the things that will be impediments, that will get you to oneness. If you are not prepared for that, because that's a different kind of strength training.
Yes.
It's not in the gym. It's not going to happen in the gym. It's going to happen through that process of study and commitment and sacrifice that really comes. And what the minister gave us in those early days, now I can go around the nation and see brothers that I was soldiering with, and we are married, and now we having conversations as fathers and husbands. And so if you're not prepared for that, then hold off until you're ready for that. But don't allow the superficial things that most would say, you got to have this in order for you to be ready. No, you can get, the money will come.
Yes, sir.
The house will come, the car will come. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that, came and went. And so
you could just as easily lose it.
Exactly. And so
that's what
trying to have it all, trying to have it all before, man, that'll be gone, come and go. It'll pass through your hands and like you never had it. And so that's the thing. Don't allow that to be a barrier. But if you're not prepared for that fight and that journey, then hold off until you're ready.
I would just say, because all the things that you said, not only marriage, but serving in your nation and just striving to be righteous in a wicked world, you have to really develop that intimate relationship with Allah for yourself, and just know that is ultimately that's the goal. Everything else is just getting you to the journey. And so I just always think about, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But some of us might want to take the scenic route. And that's okay if that's the route that you choose. But every choice that you make is either getting you one step closer to your goal or taking you on a more circuitous route. And so we have choices to make. And we live with the choices that we make. I'm personally in a stage of growth and development with really realizing that it really is all good. My mother-in-law says it all the time. It really is all good. And so I'm really being able to see that, because either it's getting you closer or you're going to learn something. Right. And have a journey while you get back to having a story to tell. So just really being in that space, as we grow and develop, sometimes we can put so much, as I'm often reminded by my husband, so much on ourselves in trying to do it and fit within, this one particular way. But, you're going to get to where you're going.
It's a lesson nonetheless.
It's just a matter of if you choose to do it the straight route. Right. Or go on the scenic route, and ultimately knowing too, though, that Allah is not required to give us grace and mercy. Right. And so some people who went outside today and they thought, well, I'm gonna try again tomorrow, and tomorrow didn't come. Yes, ma'am. So really learning to live life with that respect for His time. Yes. And for what we've been given as well. So when you have, and we've been given so much in the Nation of Islam, don't disrespect what you've been given and His time, thinking always that, got tomorrow or next year, or I'm going to come back and, I'll go live my life out here. And I'll just do this. Well, let me do me for now. We don't know how long that will be. So if it is your desire to do anything, marriage, join and register in the Nation of Islam, whatever that is, if you have that desire, then start working now to move those barriers out of the way for what it is that you desire, because tomorrow is certainly not promised.
I thank you both. I truly appreciate this. You know, I've been wanting you all on.
We've been waiting.
And I am thankful. No, I am. I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have you both on to share these few minutes with the audience and give the perspective, because there is so much that can come out of just the words. We're learning, we're growing, we're all trying to understand. So each one of us have something we can give to help the next. So I thank you both for being here. I thank you for your time, and may Allah continue to bless you. Thank you for joining us for another great episode of At My Sister's House. Again, don't forget to subscribe and like. We'll see you soon, and don't forget, have a great day on purpose. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. You all were...